a person with more than 2 children cannot be a candidate in the election. The
Dr.
provisions will
A.
only
Krishna
apply
Sharma.
to the parents of infants born after the due date
MA,
of
MSc,
notification,
MA.
he said. The Lakshadweep administrator, Mr. Praful
Comma,
Patel, said,
MSc
I quote, why is no
bracketed
one
yoga,
talking about the progressive provisions in the
PhD
Panchayat regulation? It
bracketed
will
yoga.
pave the way for upliftment and empowerment
PhD
of
yoga
women,
ಬೇಡ, PhD
unquote.
ಸಾಕು.
Mr. Ali said
ಮುಖ್ಯಸ್ಥರು
that with these provisions, women here will also be able to plan the development of Lakshadweep and
ಹಾಗೂ
can take
ಪ್ರಾಚಾರ್ಯರು
over the reins of its future. In a state where women are
ಮಾನವ
empowered,
ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆ,
the future development of the whole society is bright,
ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆ
he said. Asked for
ಮತ್ತು
the reason behind the
ಯೋಗ
two-child norms,
ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ
the collector
ವಿಭಾಗ,
said, Lakshadweep's population density
ಯೋಗ
according to
ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ವಿಭಾಗ,
2011 census was 2149
ಮಂಗಳೂರು
people per
ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ,
square kilometer, much higher than the national average of 382 people per square kilometer. We have a limited land mass and have to develop resource and infrastructure within that area, he
ಇದೊಂದು
said.
ಪೋಸ್ಟರ್ ರೆಡಿ ಆಗಿದೆ.
Now, to
ನಿನ್ನೆ
discuss
ಪೋಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ
this
ಅದು
very,
correct
very
ಇಲ್ಲಿ
important
ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು
topic,
ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ
controversial
ತತ್ವ.
topic, and a very hot topic,
ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯವಾಗಿ,
we have a very, very elite panel, those who have full knowledge of this particular new regulations and about the Lakshadweep. And I would like to invite my guest, first panelist guest. He is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He is also the principal advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He was former head of the Disaster Management, Government of India, and Central Draft Relief Commissioner, Government of India. He was the Vice Chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture, and 1 book on housing received prestigious The Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is a housing expert, innovator, writer, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nirmiti Kendra, Building Center, District Tourism Council, and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmanabha Swami Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him Man of Ideas. Welcome Dr. C.V. Anand Bose on our show. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, you have heard the report which I read. I tried to be impartial. I have given the views of both the parties, the opposition and the ruling party. I would like to know from you, what is the real thing, the facts of Lakshadweep agitation? Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. It's my firm conviction that the present imbroglio, or the conundrum, or the row that is taking place in the name of Lakshadweep is nothing but full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. It's much ado about nothing. The present controversy seems like a blind man searching in the dark, a black cat which is not there. Having said it, let me put the question in proper perspective. After all, what is the status of union territory in India? It is neither fish nor flesh. Those territories which for various reasons were found not to be politically, economically, and territorially viable to be considered as states became union territories. Many union territories have become states eventually, and there is also instance of state becoming union territory. For instance, we had Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura, Goa. They were earlier union territories, later became states. We have the instance of Delhi and Puducherry or Pondicherry, which enjoy partial status as state, partial state. Now, there is also a case of Jammu and Kashmir, a state becoming two union territories, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. So there is nothing very static about this. It's a dynamic concept. And even in a neighboring country, China, we have a similar setup. When Macau was, Macau, the Portuguese left Macau, it became a part of China. But there, it's a specially administered region, almost akin to our concept of union territory. And in China, it is one nation, two systems. Macau has a different political and democratic system, different from mainland China. Almost like what happened in the case of Hong Kong, when that was given to Chinese by the British. In India, even though the states, the union territories are administered by the government of India, I would say the chief administrator of all these union territories is the President of India as Rashtrapati. And each union territory has a lieutenant governor or an administrator run the daily administration. Now, this is the setup that we have inherited, and this has got constitutional sanctity. The Supreme Court of India has said that even though the union territories are under the administrative control of the government of India, each territory has got a right to retain its own identity. Having said it, now let us analyze what is happening in Lakshadweep. What is happening in Lakshadweep can be understood properly only in the context of the ecosystem that prevails there. Lakshadweep is strategically important for us, for the internal security of this country. In Djibouti, in Somalia, China has built up a military base, a naval base, full-fledged naval base. And recently in Colombo, hardly 300 kilometers from our shore, China has an enclave, and they are building up their own proper naval establishment. Now, in this context, Lakshadweep becomes very important for India. We have to build up Lakshadweep as an excellent naval base, and that is what we are going to do. Now, there is also another aspect, not just military presence there, which is required for the safety, security of the country. Lakshadweep is also a haven for tourism. But unfortunately, not even a percentage, a fraction of the potentials are tapped. The Government of India, Niti Aayog, and the Island Development Authority has got a massive master plan for the tourism development of Lakshadweep. The benefit will go to the people of Lakshadweep. Then why this objection? Recently, as you yourself have pointed out, recently it was found that heroin worth of 3,000 crores was confiscated from Lakshadweep. And also AK-47s, not only AK-47s on the island, but two boats which were coming with AK-47 and other lethal weapons were intercepted and confiscated by the Coast Guard and the Navy. At that time, India started putting a lot of controls. Who was the administrator at that time? Not Mr. Patel. The administrator at that time was, Mr. Khan. Yes. Mr. Khan was the administrator at that time. Now, when we put things into perspective, in a place which is so sensitive as far as India's security is concerned, in a place where the Lashkar-e-Toiba and the Islamic State are trying to convert into a hub of terrorist activities, where heroin is dumped, where arms are dumped, do you think that India can close our eyes to the sensitivity of the place? And when it comes to the development of tourism, those who are vested interests, who are exploiting Lakshadweep, they are offended. They are offended, and it is these forces which are behind the present row. What is the fact behind this? What is the fiction behind it? I would say it is neither fact nor fiction. It is fictitious what is going on around us. Now take one by one. The legislation, not even legislation, is only a proposal. The first proposal, which says that persons with more than 2 children cannot contest the panchayat election, is absolutely wrong. As you yourself have said, this is not a legislation which is there, going to be only in Lakshadweep. 10 states in this country, including Congress-ruled, opposition-ruled states, they have similar legislation. As of now, even if you have 20 children or even you have Dhritarashtra with 100 children, you can contest. Only once this law comes into force, then only it comes in. No, it's not retrospective, it is prospective. Everyone knows this. Instead of reading between the lines, let them first read the lines. This is a law which is there in various other states in the country. It is not even enacted, it's only a notification now. Now, the second aspect of this, beef is banned. Beef is not banned. I underline, beef is not banned. Yes, there is the Animal Prevention and Regulation Act. This is not an act which is there, going to be only in Lakshadweep. There are many other states where this act prevails. I happen to be the Principal Secretary of Animal Husbandry in nearby Kerala. The act is there also. The act is there in Tamil Nadu. The act is there in various other states. Now, it is also clearly said certain regulations are there. So slaughter animals, you have to get the certificate from the authorities. This is what is happening in the other states also. There it is clearly said that if it is ban on cow slaughter, ban on buffalo, not on buffalo. See, when an animal is found to be unfit, either for breeding or for milking purposes or for agriculture, such animals will get permission to be slaughtered. So it's not a total ban. And secondly, this is only a notification. No decision has been taken. Certainly at the time of taking a final decision, there are many agencies involved in that. The cabinet is involved in that. The president is involved in that. And in between, there are discussions on this. Therefore, to say that there's an infringement on the food habits of a particular section of society, that is not a very noble statement, noble motive. That is made to foment the trouble, especially in a place where 97% of the population belong to a particular class. This is nothing but ethnic propaganda, which is aimed at against destabilizing this country. I would say that the Break India Brigade is behind this, supported and aided by the terrorist groups and also those who want the balkanization of this country. Now, the next is, yes, I think the third one is, one of course is the beef, second is the
Gunda Act.
Gunda Act, yes. Gunda Act is not an act which is born in Lakshadweep. Gunda Act is there in the state of Kerala, which even has passed a resolution in the assembly against what they call the atrocities in Lakshadweep. Gunda Act is in various other states. And why we should have a Gunda Act? I think Nirmal is here. She was a DGP. She knows very well what are the uses of the Gunda Act. Now, why Gunda Act in a place? That's a very, very, convincing, confusing question. Yes, crime rate in Lakshadweep is very low. The National Crime Records Bureau also says that the crime rate is very, very low. When there is no crime, why the Gunda Act? Sounds very convincing, but it's very confusing. You know that we have already found, if in an island where there is no Gunda, where people are peace-loving, where there are no criminals. Where did this heroin come from? Where did the AK-47s come from? So do you mean to say that under the garb of the innocent people of Lakshadweep, Gundas from abroad and the India breakers have to be encouraged? Certainly, Lakshadweep administration has to be equipped. That is why the Gunda Act is there. Again, it has not come into force. Therefore, it's a kind of collection of untruths, half-truths and lies, which are being paraded as truths. And look at the media. The media is finding delight in confusing people and masquerading untruth as truth. In English, there is a word, sonerism. Sonerism means you state facts, real facts, correct facts, true facts, but only partial facts. From the facts, you make the other person make a wrong inference. That is what the press is doing. Most of the press is doing. If we analyze the situation which is there in Lakshadweep, we will find that certain well-meaning acts are being misinterpreted. And this is not a full stop. This is only beginning of certain notifications. This is a democracy where discussion takes place before decision. These discussions may lead to changes, lead to modification, need to fine-tuning of what is happening. Therefore, it is highly premature. And I would remind one of Macbeth, the beginning of Macbeth, the three witches meet. When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain. When the hurly-burly is done, when the battle is lost and won. It is like a three witches meeting. Again, Lakshadweep, the detractors, the urban Naxalites, the communists, the Break India Brigade. They are all joined together. When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly burly is done, when the battle is lost and won. The battle has begun. The battle, you know who will win. Truth will triumph. This kind of parading misunderstanding among the people to create communal divide in this state has a ulterior motive behind it. The people of India know it. We have a mature democracy, and this kind of gimmicks will never go on. And as the poet says, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? We are looking for the essential, eternal Lakshadweep spring. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, for giving the details, description about the notification, not notification, the proposals of the Lakshadweep, which were issued or sent by the administrator to the central government. And what Dr. Bose basically says that one should understand the difference between a union territory and the state. And he clearly mentioned that it's the responsibility of the central government to see to it that they are done properly, and that there should not be anything which will be anti-national. And he mentioned, he has given him in the description about all the three controversial proposals which is being raised by the opposition party. And he has given all the reply in a very, very simple way. He says why the Gunda Act is required. If everything is fine, if nothing is wrong, then how come heroin worth 3,000 crores or 300 kg heroin, as well as AK-47 and other things were confiscated there? Whether it has come for the peace-loving people or they have some big plan. And he has also mentioned that now China is very close to our source. So we have to be very, very careful. After all, we have to see the central government to see the entire safety of the entire country, not only of one UT or one state. So according to him, this Gunda Act, and one person, and it's a logical also, if a person is peace-loving, why he is afraid of a act like Gunda Act? Or it's only for those who are really doing some mischiefs. Secondly, about the panchayat, he says it's already there in many of the states. Then what is the problem? Why we are doing? And as per the report also, which I read, the density, the population mass density is far more exceeding than the national average. So he says, why there should be any fuss in that? And this is a proposal. It has not been notified, and it is going. Once it will be notified, it will be the future elections, not those who are already elected. So one has to plan accordingly, and it is in one way, it's very, very good to see to it that the population control is also required. And thirdly, what he mentioned about the ban on the slaughtering of cows and eating beef. He says it is not been, again, he mentioned it's a proposal. And he also mentioned that the slaughtering of those milk cows, etc., should be banned because, after all, they are giving the milk and they are useful things. But in case of those animals which have been allowed by the administrator on a special license, those can be slaughtered. He says this is everywhere. Even he says this law because he was the principal secretary of the animal husbandry in Kerala. So he said there also this law exists. And I would like to mention to our viewers that yesterday the Kerala Assembly has passed a resolution against these proposals. So when the Kerala is having this law only in their state, how come they are asking to not get that law enacted in the Lakshadweep? Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, for giving the details. And that is what, and he has also mentioned, I would like to point out one more thing about the media. Yes, what he says, the media is creating confusion. Of course, if there is a tutu meme, if like Dr. Bose is speaking and somebody start talking on so his views will not be known to the public at large. And our endeavor in the media conference with Lal Goel at Global TV and V4NEWS, etc., is to give the views of the experts. The opinion, the viewers have to choose what they think, but they should listen first the entire opinion of the experts. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, for giving such a good narration of these proposals. Now I would like to call my next guest, and I would like to invite and introduce my next guest, and she is Miss Nirmal Kaur IPS. Miss Nirmal Kaur IPS is the former Director General of Police Jharkhand. She is of 1983 batch. She, during her service, worked as SP to DG in Bihar and Jharkhand, Bureau of Police Research and Development, Ministry of Health, Home Affairs, Delhi. Her reputation was a very honest and efficient IPS officer. She patrolled crime-ridden rural areas in Bhagalpur, Patna, and Darbhanga on horseback. She controlled crime and Naxalites very effectively. She was called Hunter Wali by Bhagalpur people, where she was posted after Bhagalpur blindings. I think those viewers who have those memories, the infamous Bhagalpur blinding which took place, she was posted after that. So one can understand her stiffness, her tackling the position, because at that time there are lots of uproar, lots of agitations were there, but she was posted in that place only. She was considered to be the most honest and dutiful lady officer. She is well versed in Indian Vedantic philosophy, the Sikh Gurus, and Sri Guru Granth Sahib. She possesses scholarly knowledge of Sikh scriptures. She is associated with rural development groups. She is active member of Yogada Satsang Society of India for over 30 years. She is also associated with cataract camps of Yogada. She did spiritual sadhana at Rishikesh and near Vashisht Guha on Ma Ganga's bank from 2016 to 2018. Welcome, Ms. Nirmal Kaur on our show. Ms. Nirmal Kaur, you have heard what Dr. C.V. Anand Bose has spoken, and you have also heard the report which I read. Now, being such a senior police officer and such a tough, straightforward, honest police officer, we would like to know, as Dr. C.V. Anand Bose also referred to you, that you can tell more about the policing. But definitely, we would like to know about the facts of the Lakshadweep agitations. Ms. Nirmal Kaur, IPS, please.
Thank you for those wonderful words. A very flattering introduction you gave me, and it's very kind of you to bestow those kind words. Now the thing is that press media is distorting the whole picture. Mr. Dr. Bose spoke of selective choice of facts. Media does that very efficiently here. They have selectively chosen facts, and they've chosen to highlight, there's a lot of vested interest. Now on Twitter, you see a campaign like, let India breathe. Now, how is opening Lakshadweep to tourism going to affect the oxygen levels of the country? It is unthinkable. I mean, if Bali can be developed, if Maldives can be developed for tourism, why not Lakshadweep? What is the problem there? And those pristine beaches, that pristine, those deep blue lagoons are hiding deep conspiracies. This is one thing we are failing to understand. We spoke of the drug and rifle and child trafficking over there. That is being used, the innocence of the natives is being used to exploit them for these criminal purposes. And just now one spoke of, I think Dr. Bose spoke of a heroin interception of 3,000 crores in the month of May or March. But if you see from the month of November till May, 5 months, only in 5 months, the vehicles which were intercepted by Coast Guard and where actually heroin was caught, drugs were caught, and guns were caught. The whole haul, the estimated value is a very conservative value, 5,000 crores of rupees in 5 months alone. And not all boats that set out to smuggle drugs are caught. I mean, on an average, as a policeman, I can tell you, only about 2% of even with a very, very vigilant police, you can catch only about 2% of the crime when these things happen. The traditional drug route, which was the Golden Triangle and the Golden Crescent, which was on the Afghanistan side. Now the experts have been researching, who are researching into the drug routes. They say your Lakshadweep and the seas around that are on the new drug route. This is one thing which the nation has to investigate, and which has deep implications for national security. When the drug money comes, this haul, this actually got value in 5 months of 3,000 crores. Not only 3,000, 5,000. 3,000 was one catch alone. This estimated value of 5,000 crores. Look at it. The annual budget for LAKSHADWEEP in 21-22, the present financial year, is about 1,350 crores. I mean, in 5 months, you actually catch drugs worth more than three times the value of your annual budget of the UT. So these whopping sums. And when drugs come, hawala and money laundering is always together. Drugs, hawala, money laundering, these all go together. And these kind of sums, if conservatively I say 10%, 2%, okay, let's take it at 10% to be on the higher side. 10% are caught. That means in 5 months, you have about 50,000 worth of illegal money coming in the form of drugs or guns or whatever. And where is that 50,000 crores in 5 months? Would be about more than 100,000 crores in 1 year. And that money is being integrated into your financial system. Look at the larger implications. That money is financial system. Where is that money getting absorbed? How is it being utilized? What are the channels? Now, this has huge implications for national security. And I think the the Narcotic Control Bureau should ASAP open an office there, and they should investigate these cases. And not only NCB, the Narcotic Control Bureau, it has to be a multi-agency approach, a very cooperative approach to analyze all of this, where you can even have the financial agencies and the national security agencies. It has tremendous implications for your national security. Now, strategically also, LAKSHADWEEP is very, 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 very vital. The sunny beaches are hiding very, very shady secrets there. If I think agencies were to go and investigate, they'll find that there's much more than that peace-loving population, as the media at present is touting it, which is hiding there. Where I mean, like this kind of money getting integrated into the financial system by a union territory, a UT, the square kilometer of which the area is only 32 square kilometer. What is that area? A very small area. About 36 islands, out of which only I think about a dozen are inhabited. So that kind of, but look at the bounty of nature to bestow these islands on us. These islands have graciously brought us so much of, even under the international law, we can command about 4 lakh square kilometers of EEZ, and we can command about 20,000 kilometers of territorial waters because of courtesy these islands. So nature has given us this bountiful gift on the high seas by medium of these islands. So they are strategically very important, not only for our national security, they are also important for Quad, like we hear a lot of discussion on Quad. Quad also, this 9-degree channel which is there. Actually what is Andaman and Nicobars? This is that mountain, the sunken mountain, which is Lakshadweep, Chokade mountains. That sunken mountains, out of which only these archipelago has, it is part of that sunken mountain tops only. And there's a very narrow channel which allows communication, which is deep enough for ships to pass, which is a very important cargo route also, which is called the 9-degree channel. I think it is all because it is the latitude. Latitude is about 9 degrees, so it is called 9-degree channel, which is very, very important for cargo movement and also for defense security interests. Now, you see it in the South China Seas, in the South Seas, China is, flexing so much of muscle. They are, they are joining islands, building huge cemented structures, putting bases there. Now, if they were to buy, and there is also the channel which goes from very near Indonesia, which China has these huge hegemonic ambitions. It wants to be the new superpower of the world. So this, this hegemonic, Chinese hegemony or Chinese superiority, or their quest to have everything, now they have already acquired a great strategic, controlling interest in Colombo. They have a port city there, they have a port there, they have already acquired a controlling interest there out of their, this debt trap that they lay for the nations. Out of debt trap, they have a controlling interest in Colombo. And Colombo is how far? How far from our southernmost tip? I think about 200 odd kilometers, maybe 300. 250, 280, not more than that. This is my, I mean, if my memory serves me right, roughly around that, from Tuticorin, it will be that much. So now to have such close presence of China there in those seas, you know, the Indian Ocean is very important. But in the Arabian Ocean, where you have your Lakshadweep Islands, you know, you have this 9-degree channel. And should China behave badly or try to, you know, create trouble in the Indian Ocean or in the South Seas, we can always have a defensive retaliatory action ready in that 9-degree channel. Movement of cargo, you know, the Pacific, ships going to the Pacific, they have to pass through this 9-degree channel. The movement of cargo is controlled. You know, it's strategically not only for commercial cargo, but also for naval interests, the interest of Quad. You know, there's this, our naval base based in Kochi. They are watching like hawk. You know, there was this Somalian pirates had come in 2011 near, I think, Minicoy Island, and they had to be driven back. And so they have to watch for not only for the pirates, the Navy, but they have to also not only for these, you know, high sea piracies, they have to also watch for all the illegal ships and all the kind of illegal things which are moving there. And that channel is a very good strategic watch point, a vantage point to watch what is happening in those seas, in the entire ocean, in fact, oceans around them, and what is moving to the Pacific, how the Pacific transport is going. All that is very important, watching those channels. So this Andaman, this Lakshadweep, you know, place, as it is touted to be, it's a pristine beauty place. Oh, you let India breathe, as if Indian lungs will collapse. Our oxygen will collapse if tourism starts in those 32 square kilometers. Okay, it's a beautiful place. Nature has been very kind, and people are largely, you know, who are these people? I think they are descendants of the Zheng, the Chinese, you know, who came and who conquered the beach of Calicut. You know, that tall guy, I think he was of Mongolian origin. So he is, you know, these are the people mostly, China at least, you know, identifies itself with those glories. You know, they want those glorious past, you know, when China commanded the seas in those areas. So we have to be very, very vigilant. We have to be very, very vigilant, and, you know, and not lose out on those mining rights, the patrolling rights, our rights on the high seas, in the territorial waters. Be very, very watchful. And, you know, the trucks coming means there is a big mafia operation there. Perhaps it hasn't been exposed because the laws are so weak. Gunda Act. Now, you know, Mr. Bose, Dr. Bose spoke of the Panchayati Act. You know, those provisions which are proposed to be given in Panchayati Act exist already. The Gunda Act, the language which the press is objecting to, supposedly the residents, the MP is written, the language is verbatim lifted from the Kerala Gunda Act. What is your objection? These are your words. It is okay for Kerala, but it is not okay for Lakshadweep, because you want to politically, I mean, you are taking political mileage out of it. It is not based on substance. It is not based on facts. It is not based on the needs of crime control. For crime control, to control that mafia, which is, you know, all this cannot be happening without any local links. If it is a very important vantage point on the drug route, how come no cases have been registered on the land? All the interceptions have been on the sea. On the land, no cases are registered because everything is hunky-dory. They say, well, there is too much of agreement. If there is too much of agreement, that means there is something being hidden. Maybe there is this agreement, this so-called peace on the surface, is because it is hiding. You know, deep conspiracies are there, which are being hidden by the peaceful exterior or by the majority of peace-loving citizens of Lakshadweep. So now this, you know, the strategic interests, our national security interests are supreme. And for that, we must examine the whole thing and open it for the national debating, and all facts must be brought out. Not only what, you know, the so-called, you know, these people who are, I mean, polished people, so-called, sometimes partially they are called Lutyens gang, though I don't think, I mean, that term covers the whole of them. Or sometimes they are called the Khan Market gang. In Punjabi, we have a very good word for them called Libradus. I think Libradu is a much more comprehensive word than the other terms being used for them. These so-called Libradus, these so-called, you know, intellectuals, which think that by siding with the downtrodden or by siding with the majority or the minority. I mean, they think that if they're supporting minorities, they are supporting the underdog. Now, how are they a minority if 96% of the population belongs to a community? How is it a minority? Even in Kerala, if you see, I think Muslims are about 36% or 33 or something, and Christians are about 10 to 12, 13%. Together, they are about 46% of the population in Kerala. How somebody, a 46% chunk of the population, how can they be termed minorities? What is minority? I think we should review this term minority, which we are using, and bring it to populations like Parsis, small populations, which are not even, I think we should have some ceiling that any group which occupies, say, more than 3% or 7% or 9%, or, a single digit kind of population should be considered minorities. This very conception of minorities and pampering them in the name of affirmative action to bring them up, I think it is doing no service to the nation. It is doing no service even to the population for whom it is intended. The benefits are not reaching the population. So it has to be a more, bottom to top approach. Then, something being imposed from the top to bottom, where there's a little community participation, where the schemes are not reaching really the ground levels. So this whole concept of pampering the minorities just for their votes, that should be strongly, strongly discouraged by society, by law, by rules, by practices, by traditions, because it is doing no good to the minorities. For the simple reason, I'm not even going for national interest or anything here. It is, the very people you are aiming to, whose condition you are aiming to ameliorate, you are pushing them deeper into backwardness. You are making them less and less progressive. So this whole thing in the name of this bogey, a minority that every time is raised. Oh, minority culture, our heritage. The minority heritage is in danger. World is in a flux. Things are always changing. Things are not today what they were 10 years ago, what they were 50 years ago, what they were 70 years ago. A simple analysis of the demographic of the country, of the demographics of the area, you will get to know so much. Now, we all know. I was posted to Delhi also. I was on deputation. I've been in Bihar. I've seen parts of Bengal. I've seen lots of areas, even in all cities like Bangalore also. Every town has such massive settlements of Bangladeshis coming. And, the population is very happy. They are getting maids. My sister, where she says only these Bangladeshi maids start about 1,600 for Jhadu Pocha. All the other maids are demanding 3,000. The local population is very happy. They are getting cheaper labor. And the people who are letting them into the country are very happy also because they are making some money on the side. They don't know that this money is playing havoc with national security. So, we have to beef up these issues of national security. And I think national security is paramount. Mahabharat mein bhi likha hai. Mahabharat also says that without a good king, all your other pursuits in life are useless. Because if you don't have a feeling of security, if you think that you can be looted or ravaged, or anything can happen to you anytime, the way it is happening in West Bengal right now, what is the point in living? What is the point in acquiring wealth? What is the point in acquiring a wife and children if you can't have a good system, a good, hygiene in the marketplace where you are working the market? So, I think these are very, very important considerations. I have a lot more to say, but I see you looking at the watch again and again. So I must, come back at question hour I have many more points to make. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. National security is paramount, says Ms. Nirmal Kaur. And as I have read her profile, and I know that she's such a tough taskmaster, and really she has, in her thoughts which she has given, she has shown that yes, she was named correctly by the Jharkhand people that she is a Hantarwali. But what important point she has made, I would like to highlight one or 2 points. First, she says why the people are against the development. If the central government wants to develop those islands on the lines of Maldives and Bali, what is the harm? People are from India loves to go to Maldives and Bali. Why not they should also go to Lakshadweep? Why not the foreign tourists should go to the Lakshadweep? So she says that if they are developing on Maldives, the lines of Maldives and Bali, there should not be any opposition in that. one very, very important point which she has made is, she says how the best policing one can do. We cannot catch more than 2%, or we cannot intercept more than 2% of the boats carrying all illegal things. Now, this is a very, very startling thing, because if only 2%, she says, okay, take it up to 10%, even if 10%, the catch in last 5 months is about 5,000 crores. It means 50,000 crores in 6 months, means it may go up to 1 lakh crore. And she says this money is going through Hawala and to be used in the illegal way. They are influxing this thing. So this is really a matter of concern. It's not a matter of only for those island only. It's the matter for the entire country. And that's why the central government wants that we should have a tough administrator there. We should have such types of regulations which should provide the security for the entire countries. That today states are crying for vaccination. I am just adding this thing. They says that the center is doing party politics. But when the national security is concerned, who is doing the party politics? The center is doing, or the states are doing? Why then they are making so hue and cry for the national security? It's a matter of national security. And one more thing which she has mentioned is about that this route is now a new drug route. If it will be termed as a new drug route, definitely it is going to be a very, very big disaster for the country, for the countrymen, and especially for the youth. If the supply of drug will come in India in bulk, then how we will expect anything from our young generation, our youth? And according to her, she says we must have more tough legislation and regulations there. She even recommended that the national this narcotics bureau should be set up there, NCB and all other things, to stop it right now. Otherwise, it will become a havoc. And one more important point which she has mentioned, about the minority. She says, who is minority? Is 96.5% you will term as minority? Or you will term, even she has given the example of Kerala, where about 46% of the Christians and Muslims are there. Will you term them as a minority? She says the country or the policymaker should review the minority things and bring it that only those who are in the single digit percentage of the total population should be considered as minority, not those who are enjoying all benefits, even in majority, but they are called as minority. Thank you very much, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, for giving such a I must say, a straight and very forceful views of yours. Definitely, as Dr. Bose has mentioned before our program was started, that she is an officer who can be a very good administrator in such types of places where we require tough measures, not the mild measures. Thank you very much, Ms. Nirmal Kaur. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist, and he is Mr. PKD Nambiar. Mr. PKD Nambiar is a marketing strategist and political analyst. He is the managing director and CEO of Flex Communications. He is the chairman B Square Group. Armed with over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur, marketing strategist, and a political analyst, Mr. PKD Nambiar is a name to reckon with in the industry. He is also renowned as a startup turnaround and growth specialist in the corporate sector. Furthermore, he is a sharp communication strategist for the SME sector. He has addressed various prominent political debates, forums, colleges, and corporates across the country. He shares his valuable opinions on political, social, and business issues and has appeared on numerous news channels, including NDTV 24/7, CNN News, 18 News, X, Times Now, CNBC India News, India Ahead, etc. Some of his well-known programs include New Age Leadership, The Brand You Too Can Be an Entrepreneur. His expertise lies in strategic planning and brand building. He excels the whole gamut of marketing and 360-degree advertising functional parameters. With the vision to deliver excellence in every chosen undertaking, Mr. Nambiar is hands-on in all aspects of advertising, planning, management of ATL, BTL, and online advertising. Being the professional marketing strategist, he works with the marketing team members to assure the accurately execution of high quality marketing strategies with the defined time frame. He is a powerful political strategist committed to delivering sincere political conversation in the major news channels, debates and discussions, as well as taking a defined lead in making Indian youth aware of relevant political affairs. Being a motivational speaker, he believes that Indian youth has got the immense potential to transform the downfall scenario of our country into a noticeable one by making great NGOs that will play a crucial role in the growth of the nation in every aspect. When India calls itself a young nation, youth in India should not be left unexplored. His consistent efforts in bringing the fruitful voices of youth is implementing a change as well as helping to fill this void, contributing meaningfully in the future of our nation. I would like to invite and introduce our next panelist, and he is Mr. PKD Nambiar. Mr. PKD Nambiar, I have already introduced you, and I will just see where is he. Mr. Nambiar, are you there?
Yeah, I'm very much here.
Oh, okay, fine. So, Mr. Nambiar, you have heard our earlier panelist, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, as well as Ms. Nirmal Kaur, IPS. And both have given a very straight views about the fact of Lakshadweep agitation. And they are for those proposals which have been sent by the administrator to the central government for the confirmation. Now, being a political analyst and a marketing strategist, as well as a man in the media, we would like to know your views on the facts of Lakshadweep agitation. Mr. PKD Nambiar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, and good morning to both the veteran bureaucrats and the most respected people. I know that it's a privilege to be amongst both of you today. Well, I have been talking about the Lakshadweep crisis. Some people say it's just a controversy. Some people say it's a created one. It does not really exist. Some people say it's for the development. Some people say no, that it's the most peace-loving people who belongs to a most peaceful community in the world. The known for the religion which is known for peace. Why are we all going and tampering it? As we digged in, I realized I have participated in multiple debates in the national media related to Lakshadweep over the last 10 days. One thing it is very clear, as Mr. Bose said, that a large section of the media is very clear. They do not want to know the real facts. They don't want to know what is the need of development in Lakshadweep. Is that all? There is really any problem exist in Lakshadweep? Other than what we have been listening to from the last 10-15 days in the media, especially started from the so-called Kerala politician. Despite the fact that both Muslim League, Jamaat-e-Islami, SDPI and Popular Front and etc. have been tried their level best over the last 4 decades or 5 decades to be relevant in the 70,000 population in Lakshadweep, they could not. The ruling party of Kerala, CPIM, tried their level best to put their flag there in the Lakshadweep. They all failed. There is no doubt that this island is been so peaceful, and the people in that particular place have been really good and very committed to this nation. There is no doubt and no question. So as Nirmalji said, what could be the real reason for this so-called talk? First and foremost, the liberality. I think is that the term you used, ma'am?
Librado, that's a Punjabi word.
Mainu pata hai ki my wife is a Punjabi, so I understand Punjabi pretty well. So Librado, I think that's one of the take from this meeting today. So the Librado people have suddenly woke up for save Lakshadweep. So as if कोई तो उसको खत्म करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे थे. That is the reason somebody who wanted to save. जब कोई खतरे में होगा तभी तो सेव करना है ना. तो challenge of Lakshadweep in the last 40 years, look at the facts, because some Librados are very keen on one section of facts to talk. One of the poorest internet connection in India, maybe the place where you were serving as a DGP in Jharkhand, in the remotest of the place, or in the Chhattisgarh, the Naxal Bari areas in the Bastar, would have a better internet connection or a mobile connection than Lakshadweep. Why? Only 1 or 2 air ambulances there. Even there is no proper hospitals in Lakshadweep to look after the 70,000 people. If at all, if there is a health crisis, they will have to be shifted to Kochi or in Mangalore. Why? It's a part of India. 70 years. We are 70 plus years of independence. Still, there is a biggest challenge of the crisis in Lakshadweep is that drinking water is one of the major concerns of Lakshadweep. Yes, Madam and both Sir has said that all the islands are having a large amount of distance between themselves. Even for them to go and move to one place to another place, there is hardly available of transport. Of course, there is a crisis. The crisis is that illegal constructions have been happening over the last 3 decades, one after another. Despite there are rules and regulations which is framed by both the union government and the rest of the places, that there should be this much of distance should be maintained from beaches when you make construction. In the name of fishermen, there are large amount of illegal constructions were happening. Madam has really explained the amount of 5,000 crore worth of heroin and the weapons were caught in the last 5 months. That's just a small reflection. There is another crisis. The large amount of illegal construction and a caucus has been created over the last so many years, which is a combination of contractors, corrupt officers, plus politicians come together, and they are the only one who can build even a resort or even a building or anything. No one else can do any business there. There is a crisis. The crisis is that there are much more than the number of people who lives there. There are coconut palms in that particular, all those islands. The people in the island do not get the right price, or there is no value added products from the coconut is being created. Whereas we all know that from Sri Lanka to Philippines to Thailand, the coconuts are exported to even India today. Maybe the coconut in the Delhi street, what you may be having, may not be from Kerala or south of India or even from Bengal. It can be from Colombo or from some other place. So there is definitely a large number of crisis which is happening. It has got only one small airstrip. I would not call it even a proper airport, which can only go to a ATR. Why? So there is a crisis. And another so-called crisis, why it has all happened? About 5 months, it has got a history of only hosting the administrators as the IPS or IAS officers. They go there for a certain period of time, more of like a punishment. Sometimes it's a punishment transfer. I know that a lot of officers from Delhi, and Mr. Bose can really correct me if I'm wrong, that one of my very close dear friend is now gone to Andaman, and he said like, yeah, this is a real punishment. The officers from the UT cadre, if they have to go to the northeast or in the Andaman, means it is more of like a punishment. So they go there, and their only intention is that how soon I can come back to the mainland. This is not the place. This is more of like a vacation. On another debate on the other day, Mr. Goel, somebody was telling me that it's so beautiful. It's so serene. But even if it is the most serene place, or if it is the most beautiful place, how many days, if you do not have a transportation, if you don't have a drinking water, how many days will you be able to sustain if you don't have a health facility? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. उसके बाद वो most beautiful जगह भी आपको भूत बंगला या ऐसे जगह लगेगा. So crisis is definitely there, but not the liberal media which is talking about, or the politicians from Kerala or some of the other politicians who's talking about. That is not the real crisis. The crisis is health, water, transport, internet connection, and the people of Lakshadweep have been deprived of a lot of these development which the people in the mainland across India, whether it is to the Chhattisgarh, to a Bihar, to a West Bengal, is being deprived for them. Now, the main reason for this crisis is, as I said, from an officer to a politician have become the administrator. आप सोच लो गलती क्या है? पॉलिटिशियन का भी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं था. पिनराई विजयन का जो कोई अगर चेले को अगर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर बना दिया होता तो कोई तकलीफ नहीं था. राहुल गांधी जी का कोई चेले को अगर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर बना दिया होता तो कोई तकलीफ नहीं था. Unfortunately, the administrator happened to be a Gujarati. So the liberal people in this country and some section of media has got an allergy to the word Gujarat. The moment you hear the word Gujarat, there is a panic. No, something is bad. A Gujarati means anti-Muslim. A Gujarati means anti-development. A Gujarati means somebody who is a very bad person. Something similar kind of a propaganda is being created. Both, I'm sitting in along with two senior most IAS and IPS officers. Even in Delhi now there is a propaganda. Oh, he is from a Gujarat cadre. In fact, I met a joint secretary level officer 2-3 days back, happened to be from the Gujarat cadre here in deputation. So when she said, so Mr. Nambiar, I am from the Gujarat cadre. So I said, oh, acha, you are from Gujarat. And then she said, the next statement, I was known to that this is the way you are going to behave. Because this is from the last 1.5 years, everyone with whomsoever I say that I meet in Delhi and say that I'm from the Gujarat cadre, they will have a smile on their face. Then I was just wondering, the problem is that during the UPA 1 and UPA 2, the principal secretary of Government of India was a Keralite. The cabinet secretary of the country was a Keralite. The foreign affairs, secretary was a Keralite. The urban development secretary was a Keralite. Or the people, all who matters in the bureaucracy was all Keralites with almost 8 union ministers from a 20 Lok Sabha member place. So does that mean that all those, that time it was, India was ruled by Keralites? I believe no. Definitely there is a section of the people wanted to create a different narrative to say that no, whatever is happening in this country is wrong. And for Mr. Patel being a Gujarati and also served as a cabinet minister in the Mr. Modi's government in Gujarat, definitely have no place in the most liberal and peaceful place in the country. As if Lakshadweep is not a part of India. So this crisis, what we are talking about, is actually does not exist. The draft bills have been proposed, is been treated as, or there is a situation is being created that it is not a draft bill, there is a law is passed. I was debating on the Lakshadweep crisis. Now we are discussing. It was purely a debate 4 days ago on one of the topmost celebrated journalists in the country, who can only get up in the morning and wash her face and say that yes, nothing is good happening in this country. I asked her that why there is, do you know where exactly Lakshadweep is? What is the distance between, what is the language which the people speak there? What is their culture? Nobody knows anything. I asked that, you are talking about the beef controversy. Somebody, and another liberal journal, famous journal, has written an article in the Gulf News. Not here, Gulf News. Imagine the Gulf News is one of the prominent newspapers in the Middle East. Look at the way the conspiracy goes, ma'am. Why they have chosen a place to write it in the Washington Post or in the New York Times or in the Gulf News is simply because of that they wanted to create a narrative against this country. Against this country, that it is an anti-Muslim thought process is there in this country. The democracy is declining, whereas none of those things are absolutely, not only completely falsehoods. So the narration is to create that in the Middle East, wherein supposed to be the Mecca, where the Mecca is there, where they treat themselves as the custodian of the entire Muslim population in the world, to send a message, the Muslims are under threat. So the crisis is in the mindset of some section of the people. The crisis is that they wanted to ensure that the caucus, the corrupt bureaucrat, the corrupt politician, the corrupt contractor nexus needs to hold on to that. The crisis is that people who wanted to have development only for themselves, not for the people. I think the time has come. Big platforms need to be created. The time has come for us to expose all these liberals that this is not the India we wanted to have. There is no place for such kind of people who only paint this country in such a bad way. In Delhi or in any other city, you go to Bangalore or in any army cantonment, most of the trees are painted with white or the other, it's not even actually the saffron color, a little like a mud color. But if that happens in Lakshadweep, it is saffronization. If a Mahatma Gandhi statue, which is so-called the new, I mean, even though I don't really believe in that, but then of course that is the way we have all been taught in those schools, that he is the Hamara Rashtrapita, he is the father of the nation of the new India. Why the father of the nation in nation do not have a statue in the island in Lakshadweep? I am ready to sponsor. I am an entrepreneur. I earn for myself. I am ready to spend 5 lakh rupees to create a statue. I will gift to the collector, or I am ready to gift that to the Mr. Patel, the administrator. Can he place that in the collectorate? Can he place that in the can he place that statue of the father of the nation, the Mahatma Gandhi, at the airport? Wow. No. The history of Lakshadweep is not as old as just 70 years. What happened to the Lord Buddha's biggest statues, which were there even from the centuries-old statues? So it is not as good as हम जैसे कहते हैं ना कि that बहुत वो सुंदरता के अंदर, जैसे निर्मल मैम ने कहा, कुछ तो छुपा हुआ है रहस्य. वो रहस्य एंटी इंडिया है. वो रहस्य ऐसा है कि that इंडिया को तोड़ने वालों के लिए सूट करता है, not for the welfare and the peace-loving people of maximum population of Lakshadweep. I happened to have a debate with the MP of Lakshadweep few days ago. I asked him, because in Kerala they were saying that the Bepur is the nearest port, and why this? Few months ago, the same MP said that we wanted to have transportation to the Mangalore. It was his proposal, and the government agreed. Then again, it becomes another problem. So I believe there is a large amount of, more than the crisis, it's a conspiracy. These conspiracies need to be really tackled, both at the intellectual, political level, administrative level, and most importantly, those who want to paint this as a communal needs to be exposed. Till that time, one day it will be Lakshadweep, tomorrow somewhere else it will come. And there is a beef controversy. Imagine that in a state in India, the midday meal needs to be served with beef and non-veg. When I was a student in the 90s, or I mean, 90s, I was a student in the school. हमारे midday meal में चावल भी वो हमारा केरल में कहते हैं कन्नी, that is basically that गीला वाला पानी का चावल और पानी मिलाकर जो होता है, उसके साथ हरी वाली दाल देते हैं. इधर तो beef लंच पे मिड डे मील पे बीफ होना चाहिए. What kind of world are we living in? And for that also there is liberty के ऊपर बात करते हैं. I think the government of the land have certain way to govern. We should always accept it. People have the right to dissent, raise their voice, but not for wrong reasons, not for motivated reasons. These motivation needs to be taken out. Thank you.
Thank you much, Mr. Nambiar. Mr. Nambiar has made lots of points. I will just say only one point. He said that the punishment posting of the officers. How come a very beautiful place can be a punishment posting? I had been to Hawaii and I have seen that the people enjoys there, even from the administration side, how those islands have been developed. Why our Lakshadweep cannot be developed in that way? Sorry for the paucity of time. I would not be able to summarize everything. Now, my question goes to Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, you have mentioned about the powers of union territory as well as the state. If it is like that, then I think the senior politicians or the politicians also understand those things. How come a Kerala assembly passed the resolution for another union territory which has nothing to do with them? Why they have passed this resolution? Don't you think it's giving a wrong signal that we are encroaching the other union territories thing when the power is totally with the administrator in that way directly to the President of India or the central government? Dr. Bose, please.
Yes, it's a very wrong message, but it is deliberately done. You know, the weakness of federalism is being shown here in Bengal and now in Kerala. Like the Bengal chief minister who feels she can defy the prime minister. The Kerala chief minister also has declared that he's going to defy the center. In the case of certain legislation which has passed by the government of India, the Kerala government has taken a stand. They are going to defy it. So this is an era of defiance, where those political parties which lost their power in India and are confined to certain locations, they are trying to be like Al Capone or Rasputin. The politics is getting mired by certain ethos which does not augur well for the success of democracy in this country. This is also a part of the break in India attitude. Otherwise, the assembly of a state recommending the removal of an official. Tomorrow, if the state of Punjab passes a resolution against the Tahsildar of Tamil Nadu, how will it be? This is nothing better than that. This is unnecessary encouragement, uncalled for action, unwarranted initiative by an elected government. But this is a reflection of the attitude of defiance, which is being deliberately cultivated for political reasons, to befriend the minority, and at what cost. That is what is now happening there. Now, why it is happening? I have given a clue by Nirmal. When she said there is a likelihood of more than 100,000 crores of rupees being pumped into the informal channel. Now I find the answer. Why the Kerala politician? Why the Kerala press is behaving like this? This is not the first time in Kerala. You know, the first democratically elected communist government in the world came in 1957 in Kerala. That was toppled. Now it come to the common light. Who did that? This was done by American CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. This is given authentically by Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who was at one time ambassador of USA to India. In his book, The Dangerous Place, he says that money was given to the political leaders and the media by the CIA because they wanted to topple a communist government which has come to power. This money game is playing here. That is why apparently unacceptable approaches are taken, apparently unacceptable action is there. I happen to be chairman of the agricultural and horticultural development of LAKSHADWEEP long time back. So I know the place. Here somebody said, in LAKSHADWEEP, there are more coconut than men. Yes, which is true, which is very true. The basis of their economy is coconut and tuna fish and tourism. Now, I was also the chairman of the National Coconut Development Board. So I know the place in that matter. You know, Kerala which neglect that place so far. Kerala is now assuming as if they are in charge of the protection of the so-called minorities of the place. This is minority appeasement. This is money. This is political chicanery. This is anti-nationalism. This is nothing but the expression which Nirmal has been using. Yes, this is the urban Naxalites at the Liberados, right? That is the approach which is happening there. This is only transient. This is ephemeral. India is strong. India is ready. India will act. Once we start acting, we will see that all these murmurings will end. What we want in this nation is, as Roosevelt said, open covenants of peace, openly arrived at. Not open covenants of war, openly arrived at. I am sure that this is only testing waters. When India acts strongly, firmly, in a determined manner, all these kind of noises will end there. Lakshadweep will become, remain, and as it always is, an integral part of India. It will prosper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bose. I think Ms. Nirmal Kaur has left our, is having some internet connection. Mr. Nambiar, are you there?
Yeah, I am there. Yeah.
Mr. Nambiar, please. Okay. Mr. Nambiar, just a question, just a 1 minute answer only.
Yeah.
Don't you think the media is not playing a fair role in this Lakshadweep, and you are appearing in the media regularly, but the way the media is projecting, as Dr. Bose has also mentioned, that how come the Kerala media, but it's not the Kerala media, we are talking of the national media. Why they are doing like this? Why they are not analyzing the things which are in black and white? Mr. Nambiar, time is short.
Yeah,
1 minute only.
It's very easy. There is no hardened. All those who knows because Delhi being a political capital, there is a section of media which we call as somewhere the other way the media which is predominantly left dominated or left thought driven media is in India. They are the one who have been setting the narratives of information dissemination in this country in two areas. One is the media, second is the history. The history you and me may have been taught, been learned in the schools are all created by Mr. Bose can really correct if I am wrong, is basically left driven. We were taught like that India is created by maybe before the Mughal there was no India, or after the Britishers have only we just learned even to wear clothes. So there is the media is a very, very strong so-called liberal media. I call them not a liberal media. It is called as left media. They are the ones setting this creative narration. They are very clear, even no matter, even if in a private, they may agree to everything to you. The moment they get into the public or when they start writing, they will only write either completely an anti-India, anti-development, or anti-Hindu. And the most importantly, if at all, if the soft way, they will criticize India. They can't see. They are blind to the goodness of this country. And this is the reality. So you don't expect anything good, at least for some more time.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you very much. And so viewers, we have seen that the controversy, it's not a controversy, but it's a proposal for the development of an island. When they are planning to develop the islands, why there is a problem? When people always want, they says that the central government should do some development work. When they want to do development work, there are forces which are against that thing, and they are creating lots of confusion, and every day there is a discussion. But today you have heard what the expert says, those who are known about this thing, like Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, as well as Mr. P.K.D. Nambiar. And this clearly shows that whatsoever is happening in Lakshadweep, one has to be very, very careful, and we should see that the development work has to go ahead, not these types of dividing forces or the obstructing forces to overcome that. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you everyday new topic. And today you know that we have already started for more than a fortnight the evening program in Hindi, which is called Kal Aaj aur Kal Lal Goel ke Sang. And today our chief guest is Mr. Jawaharlal, State in Charge, Republican Party of India, Athawale. He is going to tell about his life story in Kal Aaj aur Kal Lal Goel ke Sang. So So please tune in today at 4:30 p.m. Thank you very much, Dr. Sivianand Bose. Thank you very much, Ms. Nirmal Kaur. Thank you very much, Mr. PKD Nambiar. And thank you all the viewers for watching our show. Thank you very much.
ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ ಬದುಕಿಲ್ದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸೇ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೆ, ತಿನ್ನಕ್ಕೆ ಗತಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇವರು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್? ಆ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇವರು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈಗ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ
ಏನಾದರೂ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಉಮೇಶ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈಗ. ಲೆಟರ್ಸ್ನ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮನವಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಕಲ್ಲಡ್ಕ ಪ್ರಭಾಕರ ಭಟ್ರಿಂದನೂ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಅವರು ಕೇಳುವ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಈಗ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಿಸೋದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಮಾತ್ರ. ಏನಾದರೂ ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಪರಿಹಾರ ಕಂಡಿಡಿದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಸರ್. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಕನ್ನಡ ಒಂದೇ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 33,000 ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ಆ ಥರ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆ 33,000ದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ 15,000 ರಿಂದ 16,000 ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು
ಹಳ್ಳಿಯವರು
ಸರ್. ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯದ್ದೇ ಕಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಅವರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಊಟಕ್ಕಿದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ, ಅಪ್ಪ ಬದುಕಿದಾರ ಅಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕಿದಾರ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಮನೆಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳನ್ನು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವೀಗ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ, ಅದನ್ನು ಸರಿ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಅದರ ಬದಲು ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು, ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಇದನ್ನು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರಳೀಕರಿಸಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೋ ಕರೆಸಿ. ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯ ದೃಷ್ಟಿ, ಈಗ ಇವ್ರಿಗೊಂದು ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುವ,
ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬೇಕು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು,
ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುವ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಆ ಹಳೆಯ ಪದ್ಧತಿ
ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಸರ್.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಯ್ತು
ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ.
ಹಾಗೆ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಉಮೇಶ್ ಸರನ್ನ ಗಟ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿ